to Echolink TECHLINK conference.
A dot. What's the dot? Oh, it's a yellow dot, so he's not on. Anyway, we'll hopefully hear from him. And that stays on Transnet. Why?
Yeah, I know he was having problems with the trying to get that one call sign, and he spoke to, and I forgot her name right now. I have it in my phone. The lady at our end down here, and I think he actually called her directly to see what was going on. So he's waiting for a response, I believe, from her to get some more details on it, Reg.
Yeah, very good. All right, well, we got the UK sorted out, Australia sorted out. We got our letter from the right people, so if we can get Canada with a special event, that'll be good. We've got quite a few folks interested in things, and some news media and so on and so forth. And, of course, March will be here very shortly. The rate things are going. My goodness, what are we into already? The 8th of December, so this month's moving right along.
Yeah, VK6, BQQ, VE3LBI. It's moving pretty fast. We've been a little cautious with the wife because we didn't want her to get any colds or anything because we got to get this knee fixed, but haven't seen the grandson for a couple of weeks. He ran into a cold. We didn't want him over. Just got to get things straightened away first, but I'm sure after she gets that done, then he'll be over here and we'll be loving him as much as we always do. So, yeah, something else I was going to say to you. Oh, Friday night. I tied up on Friday night there. I forgot to check in with you last Friday night again. Apologize. I've been running that 440, well, not net, but rag queue on the Zeta repeater out of Hamilton here. Sometimes I get my head wrapped into that and forget what time it is and all the rest of it. So I'll try to pick you up this Friday night before 8 o'clock, though.
VE3LBI, VK6BQQ. Fantastic. Well, keep up the good work and keep the radio waves happening, that's for sure. Yeah, this week coming up, I don't know what number we're at. Doesn't matter. It's only a number. But, yeah, do join us if you can. And, well, you're on a repeater, so I guess you're not hooked up to Echolink or anything like that at the moment.
No, it's Terry, VE3IQL. I don't know if you remember him or not. He's been around for a long time. Victor Echo 3, what did I say now? VE3IQL. He's been around for quite a while. It's his repeater. It's up on top of Mohawk College there. About, I don't know, well over 100 feet over top of Mohawk College on top of the escarpment. So it's got pretty good coverage. And we use it. I asked him if it was okay. He had no problem at all. And I see the MIS is connected in here too, Reg. So VK6BQQ, VE3LBI. I'll say 7.3 for now because I just noticed that they're connected in here, and I don't want to tie up their net.
Larry will take a standby, that's for sure. Yeah, the screen's filling up there. VK6BQQ listening.
Good evening. This is Victor Alpha 3, Alpha Zulu Alpha, and my name is Brian. I am your controller tonight for the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club Tuesday Night Net. This net is available on the club's VHF repeater and Echolink between 20:30 hours and approximately 21:45 hours local time in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. It is also streamed live on YouTube, where archives of previous nets can be found. Stand by, please. To participate in the net on the VE3MIS VHF repeater, tune 145.430 megahertz with a negative 600 kilohertz offset and a 103.5 hertz tone. To participate on Echolink, connect to the TechLink conference, node number 9229. To listen live on YouTube and comment, search YouTube for VE3MIS. Stand by, please. If you would like to find out more about the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club, visit our website at www.ve3mis.ca. That's Victor Echo 3 Mike India Sierra Charlie Alpha. Our email address is ve3mis@rac.ca. That's Victor Echo 3 Mike India Sierra @Romeo Alpha Charlie Charlie Alpha. Stand by, please. The purpose of this net is to pass news and views along to members and visitors of the club. It also provides experience to volunteer operators in net and emergency operating procedures. All check-ins are welcome, and we especially invite non-members to join in. Stand by, please. The Mississauga Amateur Radio Club meets virtually via Zoom conferencing software on the second and fourth Thursday of each month. Our meetings emphasize comradeship and learning and are open to guests and visitors. See our website to learn how to join virtual meetings. Non-members who wish to attend should email ve3mis@rac.ca to obtain instructions for virtual admission. As well, the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club meets in person at the same time as the Zoom conference, and that location for the meeting is St. Thomas à Becket Church Hall, 3535 South Common Court in Mississauga, near the intersection of Erin Mills Parkway and South Common Court. And the meetings emphasize comradeship and learning and are certainly open to guests and visitors. Stand by, please. Just a few little reminders tonight. I think there's one reminder here of a meeting. So this Thursday, December 9th, I believe, yes, is a general meeting for members of the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club. And just a little reminder also that on this repeater, VE3MIS, usually you can hear the Cross Canada IRLP every Wednesday between 11 a.m. and noon local time, and that is through IRLP 9013, and on Friday night you can usually hear the TechNet, which is dialed in on Echolink conference node number 9229, and that's between 8 and 10 p.m. Local time here in Mississauga, or I guess 2000 hours and 2200 hours local time. Stand by, please. Before we get into the check-ins, we'll throw out a question or issue for the net tonight. It's completely optional. If you want to comment on it, certainly you can. But this is the offering for this evening. Radio links us from place to place. Radio also links us to other hobbies and interests. How has your interest in radio connected to other hobbies or interests? For example, myself, I always had an interest in astronomy, which is conducted these days through specialized radio receivers, as well as optical telescopes. Boat and marine navigation also connect naturally to radio beacons and the use of various radio systems, as well as communication systems. So there's all sorts of connections into radio and out of radio, and tonight we're just asking you to think about something that you connected your experience in radio with. Doesn't have to be recently, could be any time in your life. Stand by, please. Okay, and let's see. So, this evening, the check-ins will be conducted, as usual, in 2 rounds. There will be a check-in round followed by a 7-3 round. And during the check-in round, we will probably separate the different types of check-ins as we go along. We'll probably ask for RF check-ins and then Echolink check-ins as we work our way through all the check-ins you might want to join us. So listen carefully for the situation that best describes your situation and check in with that. The very first group, actually, of check-ins will be short time check-ins. So if you're out there for a short time only, maybe your radio, your handheld isn't going to last too long, or you can't stay too long in the net, you can come in during the short time check-ins, and we'll do those first. So let's see if there are for the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club Tuesday night. If you're out there on RF only first, and you're only here for a little while, come now, please. Okay, nothing heard on RF for short time check-ins. Let's take a look at Echolink. Is there anyone out there on Echolink who can only stay for a little while and would like to check in right now? If you're out there and you'd like to come in, now's the time. So come now, please. Okay, nothing heard for short time check-ins on Echolink, and I did neglect to mention a little bit earlier that emergency check-ins will be taken at any time. There's no special time slot for emergency check-ins. That we'll do any time. Okay, so we're finished with our short time check-ins on RF and Echolink. Let's go to general check-ins, and we'll start with the RF side first. If you're out there on RF and you would like to check in the general check-in first round, come now, please.
This is Victor Echo 3, Delta Bravo November, Don in Kleinberg. Victor Alpha 3, Delta Toronto, Barry.
Victor Alpha 3, Hotel Echo Sierra, Mark in Mississauga.
Victor Echo 3, Yankee Sierra November, Satya, Mississauga.
Victor Echo 3, X-Ray Bravo Hotel, Brian in Mississauga.
Okay, net control acknowledges 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 RF check-ins there, and there was one little bit of doubling, I think, and there was one call sign that I couldn't get because of some noise. But I'm just going to go back a step here. I heard Barry in there. And Barry, I'm wondering, can you just give me your call? I should know your call sign, but can you just give me your call sign again? Barry, go ahead.
Victor Echo 3, Whiskey Bravo Foxtrot.
Okay, net control returning. Okay, Barry, gotcha. Good. VE3 WVF. So I'm going to do a little read back just to the RF, and we hopefully the person who came in a little weak will recognize that their call sign is not in the list that I read back, and we'll give them a chance just to get back on the list here. So I heard from VE3XBH, Brian. I heard from VE3YSN, Satya. I heard from VA3HES, Mark. I heard from VE3WBF, Barry. I heard a call. I heard someone in there that I couldn't recognize. Didn't get a call sign, didn't get a name, and the first call sign I heard was VE3DBN, and that was Don in Kleinburg. So if you try to check in on that little group, but I didn't say your call sign, repeat your call sign, please come again.
A3 Golf Delta Zulu, Gary.
Okay, Net Control acknowledges VA3GDZ. And Gary, I'm not sure if you were the person who was calling in with a little bit of static. You sound really clear that time around, but I've got you here in the number 2 position here. So we'll go with what we've got in a second. We're just going to look for some echo links. We'll load up our list, and we'll go to the beginning. So if you're out there on echo link and you'd like to check into the general round of Mississauga Amateur Radio Club 2-meter net, come now, please, with your call sign spelled phonetically, followed by your first name. Echo link only, please.
Kilo 2, Delta Yankee, VK2DY, Robert. Victor Alpha 3, Whiskey Mike, John in Niagara.
Okay. Net Control acknowledges 2 Echolink check-ins there. We had John in Niagara, VA3WN, and we had Robert in Australia, VK2DY. Excellent. All right, so we'll go to the top of the list of our check-ins here and work our way through, and there'll be more opportunities to come in as soon as we get through this group. So let's see. Don is at the top of my list in Kleinburg. Good to hear from you, Don. I don't know if you got snow, a little bit of snow here, on and off, not too much really, but I think winter's coming. Net Control, over to VE3DBN.
Well, this is Victor Echo 3, Delta Bravo November, Don in Kleinburg. We've got a little dusting of snow, but nothing much right at the moment. It's just windy and cold. Beyond that, I just wanted to wish everybody a Merry Christmas in case I don't make the next net. And also just to let everybody know that I'm still alive and kicking out here. I've sort of hunkered down with all this COVID stuff. But at any rate, things are going well. I'm having a lot of fun on FC8. I think I've got over 12 or 1,300 contacts on FC8 now. And mind you, it doesn't take long to get a few. But it's a lot of fun. And I've got my Sloper end-fed antenna up there, and it's working like a charm. So things are going well that way. And really don't have much more to say other than Merry Christmas to all.
VE3DBN, VA3AZ8, I control returning. Okay, Don, sounds good. And talk of that sloper has just got me curious. I'm wondering, roughly, what's the height above terrain for the high end and the height for the low end? I'm just curious. And what is your how are you supporting it on the high end? Over to you.
VE3DBN here. Well, on the high end, it's supported from the tower that my VHF antenna is located on, and on the low end it's on a little stand that we use for a bird feeder. It's so a height is about 35 feet up on the high end and about 7 feet down on the low end, and it seems to work well. Also, I'm coming through on VHF this evening on my handheld because I have a 7300 and it doesn't have the upper bands on it. But at any rate, I'm coming through with my handheld and I'm just putting out about 5 watts here. So I'm glad I'm coming through okay. Back to you.
VE3DBN, VA3AZ8, net control returning. Yeah, you're coming in quite well, Don. No trouble. There's every once in a while, tiny bit of crackle on it, but not much. So yeah, you're doing a great job on the HC. You never know how long they'll last at 5 watts. I don't know if at least on transmit, of course, you can listen as long as you want. But I guess they can be drained pretty quickly on 5 watts out. And they get hot. They get hot as well. So anyway, good to hear from you, and Merry Christmas to you too. We'll keep you on the list, I guess, for a second go. I don't remember if you said you'd be here for the second round. We'll keep you on the list if you're here. That's good. If not, that's okay. And Merry Christmas if we don't see you next week. All right, let's go to VA3 GDZ. Gary, hope all is well with you this evening. Over to you. Net control to VA3 GDZ.
Good evening there, Brian. Nice to hear your friendly voice, and hi to everybody who's joining us on the Mississauga Net tonight. I expect to probably not be here in the second round because I end up having to switch over to YouTube or a scanner to listen, but I do want to hear what the other people have to say, and I see the ham conferences in there. I hope you can pull in some people from that to give us an international perspective. Yeah, doing okay. Not sure what to sign up for as far as indoor activities in the new year because COVID cases keep going up a bit here. Other net news, I was talking to a guy in the Northern Ontario D-Star net the other day, and we were telling him we had a windstorm here, 40 to 60 kilometers per hour, and it was getting really cold. It dropped below freezing, -1. And then he said he's in Kapuskasing, Ontario, which was -17 Celsius with a wind chill of -30. So I said to him, okay, you've won. Anyways, I'd like to take a crack at your question of the day. Let me let it drop for a sec. Your question is about the various links that radio has with other activities and stuff. Funny you should mention astronomy. So many people I know or talk to are interested in astronomy, and I cannot explain it because astronomy is an optical hobby, and on the radio you don't really share that kind of stuff. But so many people have interest in astronomy. Secondly, I would say is computers, because we use them for everything, including our radios and our databases and linking up on Echolink and All-Star and all that sort of thing. And lastly, I would say there's a common interest in science. There's been some science nets. We've had great discussions on what's happening in terms of COVID, on space exploration, the space station and billionaires in space and going to Mars. And lastly, not just weather, climate change. Lots of really good discussions. So those are some of the links that radio brings you. Back to you there, Brian. This is Victor Alpha 3, Golf, Delta Zulu, Gary in Toronto.
Of VA3GDZ, VA3A today, net control returning. Okay, Gary, excellent. Yeah, excellent reflection on the connections to other interests in areas of knowledge and experience. So yeah, as far as your Kapuskasing friend goes, geez, that's a little bit cool. -30 is kind of, I guess you said that was with the wind chill too. So yeah, kind of the winter's definitely here, and of course up there it comes quick, I guess. I can remember extremely low temperatures reported there. I've probably mentioned it on this net before. Maybe it was about 4 years ago. It was -49 or something like that. So that was very unusual. But it's good to hear you're on that Northern Ontario D-Star. Usually I try to check in there. I didn't check in last night though. So I think it's Monday nights they're on from they hold them at 8 p.m. local time. But yeah, definitely optical astronomy does have it definitely holds an interest. And it's funny that it's one of those things, I guess most people access astronomy through viewing. It's sort of, you look up in the sky and see all that activity up there, so it is optical, obviously. There's enormous amounts done with radio telescopes, too. Anyway, thanks for joining us there, Gary. Oh, sorry, it was Gary, yep. And maybe you can tell us if you'll be here for the second round. I think you said you weren't sure. Just come back with that again. Over to you.
Don't expect to, but I'll be listening in, and I have 3 telescopes and a couple binoculars and things like that, and it's too darn cold to use them right now, but it was great in the fall. The planets were well placed. Back to you.
VA3GZ, VA3A today, net control. Oh yeah, for sure. It's with the binoculars can make your arms tired too. I guess if you're holding them for a long time. But good for you. Excellent. Yeah, there's always lots to see. Whether it's the planets, I guess in the city, the planets are they're good targets. But there's the other stuff too that's a little more mysterious but harder to get at. Okay, well we'll see. If you're here, good. If not, that's okay. But thanks for joining us. If you're not here, and let's go down to Barry, VE3WBF. Barry, come on in. Over to you.
Good morning, Italy, United 7, Golf Romeo Mike, Southeast Italy.
WBF. I hope everybody on the net's well and healthy and happy, I guess. First of all, I won't be here for the second round. And the other thing I did on the weekend is I fired up JS8 call and just let it run. And I wanted to see what was going on. It was on 40 meters. And I'll tell you, I got mostly heartbeats, except Sunday. And I got a conversation, both sides of the conversation, from two guys. One was in Florida and the other one was in Louisiana. And it's what blows me away is that I'm away up here in Mississauga, and it was just like they were next door. It was interesting that they're only 900 miles between them, and yet I'm receiving them from afar. So that was an experience. This is VE3WBF. Back to the net. Over.
VE3WBF, VA3A today, net control returning. Okay, Barry. Yeah, sounds good. I know that always. I always find that a motivation. It's just when you hear those distant stations and you can hear them in communications. There was I don't know, it was how long? Maybe it was in the spring. I can't remember. I had my one of my antennas up in the backyard listening on HF, and there was a fellow from South Africa who was regularly showing up at around it's like 8 o'clock, I think, and speaking to people in the United States. It may have been for a net. And I think that net was it was held in Minnesota. It was run, or the net control was in Minnesota. I'm not sure, but that's kind of amazing. I mean, I couldn't speak with him because I don't have that much power, but I could hear him, and that's an astounding thing to hear. Okay, let's see here before we pass it back to Barry for anything else he wants to add there. I did hear a call sign in there. I think it was from Italy, and it was Italy Tango. I think it was India Tango something. I didn't hear the whole thing. The audio was really, really clear. Fantastic audio, at least from my end. And I want to give that station a chance just to check in again. If you're on Aqualink from Italy, please try again with your call sign. Come again. Okay, nothing heard from that station. Barry, we'll just go back to you. You're going to be here for. Oh no, I think you said you weren't going to be here for a second. We'll pass it back to you one more time. It sounds really good. I know that always motivates me, hearing a QSO between distant points. But anyway, we'll pass it back to you for anything else you want to add. VA3A today over to VE3WBF.
This is VE3WBF. The only thing I can comment on what I saw for the weekend was my antenna's crap. So that's on my bucket. That's on my list of things to do. Back to the net. Over.
VE3WBF, VA3A today, net controlling. Okay, Barry. Oh yeah, antenna. I always have antenna stuff on my list too. But good to hear from you, and hope we hear from you again next week. Let's see, we'll go down the list here, and I have Mark, and that, let's see, his call sign is VA3HES. Maybe he's got some news from YouTube for us. Actually, I have a couple questions about the way the meetings are conducted there, Mark, too. But anyway, we'll pass it to you. Net control to VA3HES.
VA3AZA, VA3HES. Good evening, Brian, and everyone on net. Mark here in Mississauga. Not too much to report. Fairly uneventful day, the way I like them. in regards to your question tonight, I'm going to say it's not quite my hobby. It's actually one of my best friend's hobby. He's an avid boater and sailor, and part of my motivation for getting my ham radio license finally, after many years of putting it off, is he's planning eventually a worldwide sailing trip, and I got to be the home base for him, so I'm cajoling him to get his ham license by the time he heads out on the water, so we'll be able to talk to each other. Yeah, that's the only one that sort of comes to mind right now. Yeah, I had a question there, Brian. Back to you.
VE3 VE3 today, Nick and Short Training. Sorry, Mark, there. I was just waiting for the repeater to drop there before I came back in. But sounds good. Yeah, for sure. Sailing, navigation, definitely has a good connection to radio, either through communications or fixing your position, that kind of stuff. Yeah, my question was for the club meetings, are they still on Zoom, or is everything? I assume they're on Zoom, or is everything done through YouTube? I guess though YouTube's only it has to be. Zoom is the conferencing software. YouTube would strictly be for watching. Is the club meeting on YouTube as well? Over to you.
VA3AZA, VA3HS returning. So the club meetings are held exclusively on Zoom. First one of the month is a virtual, and then the second one of the month will be an in-person. And actually this Thursday I'll be presenting, showing the ways that I live stream this net and our in-person club meetings. What we will be putting up on YouTube shortly is a number of the presentations. I have them in the can. I just need to add some title cards and credits for all of them. So slowly over the next few weeks I'll be uploading some of the various presentations we had. There was talk of sort of doing a one-way stream where we would push the entire club meeting to YouTube, but for now we've decided to just keep it on Zoom, and we archive and record the presentations, and like I said, in the next few weeks I'll be finally getting those uploaded to our YouTube channel. Back to you, Brian.
VA3HES, VA3A today, Nick is returning. Okay, Mark, and just so I have to change our script here. I have to change some of the information, but just so I got it absolutely right. So, but it's alternating. So the second Thursday is Zoom, and the first one of the month is Zoom, and the second one is in person. Or is that right? Over to you.
Yes, the first one of the month is only virtual on Zoom only, and the second one of the month is an in-person meeting that is also put up on Zoom, so we can have interaction with the other hams that are at home joining the meeting.
VA3HS, VA3A today. Okay, Mark. All right, so the first one is virtual, and the second one is both. So the virtual... So there'll always be an opportunity to participate, basically, if you can't get there in person. I think that's how it's set up, and then possibly, I'm not sure about the YouTube, but it would be a one-way stream. I guess that's under consideration. Very good. Well, thank you for the clarification, and thank you for your efforts in making that all work. I'm always amazed at how that works itself out, because the meeting in person is sort of a big space. And making it work in a big space, I guess, is a little bit more challenging. Over to you.
Well, if COVID's done anything, it's turned me into a bit of a live streaming expert. But yeah, it does make it a little bit more challenging, not by much. And if you tune in Thursday night, you'll see all the ins and outs and the secrets behind the curtain of how I make it all work.
VA3HES, VA3A today. Okay, Mark, sounds good. Sounds very, very interesting. Many tricks up your sleeve to sort of keep it running. Well, thanks for doing that all for us, and good to hear from you in the first round. We'll keep you on the list here for the second round, and we'll go down to Tatcha, and that is VE3. YSN, Sacha, I hope all is well. Haven't heard from you in a while. I'm glad to hear your voice. Over to you.
VE3AZA, Brian, the net control, good evening. Hope everything is going good with you and family. Yeah, I'm doing good. Yeah, nowadays a little QRM here, so I'm not able to join quite often to the net. Yeah, so I mean, so today these December is holidays, so I could get some time to check into the net. So hope everything is good, Brian, with you, and hope everything is fine. Nothing much to report from my side, and I may not be there for the second round. VE3AZA, Brian, the net control. This is VE3YSN.
VE3YSN, VE3AZA, net control returning. Okay, Sasha. Well, hey, that's good to hear from you. So, you know, sometimes we have news, sometimes we don't. But we're glad you're able to get around work and get in. That's fantastic. You know, sometimes it's a bit of a struggle. We'll have to carefully schedule, but good to hear from you. Okay, let's go down to Brian, and Brian's on RF. Yes, we're still in the RF portion of our list. VE3XBH, net control over to VE3XBH.
VE3AZA, this is VE3XBH, Brian in Mississauga. Good afternoon, or good evening, I should say. Brian and everybody on the net, I hope everybody's well. Nice to hear everybody. Nice to hear Sacha. I haven't heard Sacha for a long time. Not really much going on here. We're just trying to stay warm. That's basically it. Finishing off some of the Christmas decorations and that kind of thing. But other than that, hope all is well, and we'll just listen along. VE3AZA, VE3XBH.
VE3XBH, VA3AZA, net control returning. Okay, Brian, sounds good. So do you have any special hopes there for Christmas, maybe? You know, the guy with the red suit's coming around. Just curious, maybe he has something for you in the sack. And I know it's not a lump of coal. So anything you're kind of expecting from the red guy there? Over to you.
Well, Brian, I don't really know. Most of the stuff I'd really like is too expensive to ask for, or but I don't know. I mean, you can never have enough radios, I guess. So I can always look for another radio. I'm not sure whether I'm going to get into Fusion or not. I have D-Star, and that seems to work well, and the hotspot that I have set up here works quite well. So. I also have DMR, although I haven't really been doing much on DMR, so I don't know. We'll just see what happens. Maybe the jolly old fellow will surprise me. I'll send it back to you, Brian. VE3AZA, VE3XBH.
VE3XBH, VA3AZA, net control returning. Okay, Brian. Yeah, you never know. He might bring you something that you like. I know what you mean, though. Some of the things you really like are they can be a little bit on the pricey side. But I've been noting lately that there's so many nice things you can do, fun things in radio that actually don't require too much more than wire and such. So that, fortunately, that's not too expensive. But yeah, some of the other toys are a little bit more money. So anyway, well, you never know, Brian. We'll keep hoping, and maybe the red guy will bring something to you. But yeah, it's funny. I haven't been doing a lot of DMR myself either. I've actually been on a lot of Simplex lately. Simplex FM, mobile. We were talking about that, I guess, on the net a few weeks ago. The old 146.520 in Canada, that FM calling frequency. I've been kind of playing with that. So yeah, you never know. You never know. It's going to be fun. Okay, Brian, we'll keep you on the list for a second go here, and let's go down to Robert, VK2DY. Robert in Australia, good morning, and we'll go over to you.
Yes, Good afternoon. This is Robert, Victor Kilo 2, Delta Yankee, in Kellyville Ridge, New South Wales, but all part of the urban sprawl that is Sydney. 1:04 p.m. On a cool, wet Wednesday afternoon here. We had a nice day yesterday. We got up into the upper 20s, but today we're sitting at 20.2 degrees Celsius, and not going to get any warmer than that. Summer's sort of been delayed by La Nina. Other than that, there's a new Droid Star out there for iOS now. I just played with it. It's actually fairly well improved, but requires vocoder because of the copyright issues. But the vocoder's sitting there with all the other vocoders from Droid Star and from Android and Windows and that, and they just have the vocoder sitting there on pizzaandbeer.net for you to download. So it's all fine, all works. I haven't actually tried it out yet because I just noticed the new version in there. Other than that, Sydney's getting back to normal. Border between New South Wales and Queensland is going to come down apparently in a couple days, a few days, and people will be able to travel again between two states. So life is returning to normal. As well, the other things that are returning to normal, we're having the fireworks on New Year's Eve. And so far, I've heard of no COVID restrictions for the fireworks. They usually draw close to over 1 million people. So it'd be interesting to see if they actually do get 1 million people down in Darling Harbour New Year's Eve. That will be the biggest gathering I know of post-COVID. So hopefully it all comes through. Anyway, thank you so much for taking my check-in. VK2DY, back to
VK2DY, VE3MIS Net Control returning. Okay, Robert, it sounds kind of normal. Sounds kind of normal down there. Summer's coming, and so regular activities going on there in spite of it's a great battle that continues with the virus. So I don't know. It's here. Well, you're corrected me on your time. You're 4 p.m. in the afternoon. I'm 9 o'clock at night here, basically 9:30 at night, and there's some semblance of normalcy there, but of course, who knows if we have a turn for the worse with the latest variant. But anyway, good to hear from you, and we'll keep you on the list here for a second go. And I just want to acknowledge India Uniform 7 Golf. Let's see, IU7GM. IU7GM. I think the name is Luigi. He was here. Okay, well, maybe he's not. We're going to give him a call after John, and let's see how John's doing in Niagara-on-the-Lake. Hope all was well with you, John. Maybe you can tell us what you've been up to. Net control over to VA3WM.
VA3AZA in the Mississauga Net. This is John Victor Alpha 3, Whiskey Mike. Good evening, Brian. Good evening to everyone. And good afternoon there to Robert in Kellyville Ridge. So your question, I do a little bit of, I wouldn't say high-end, probably middle of the road home automation, and it's got a mix of wireless in it, and I have an Alexa, and that's kind of a wireless control in and of itself. So I have lots of fun with that, and I also have a few wireless components in my security system. So it's all RF, isn't it? Gosh darn. Anyways, Brian, good to hear everybody on there, and I should be around for the next couple of weeks for the net, so I'll say my early Merry Christmas to all, and I'll pass it back to you, and I'll be here in the second round. VA3, 888 from VA3WM.
VA3WM, VA3AZA, net control returning. Okay, John, good to hear from you. Excellent to hear from you. And yeah, I know you mentioned once to me that a couple times you've told me a little bit about the home automation, and I'm trying to remember if it's, I guess with home automation, it's kind of like there's two ecosystems of components, isn't there? And there's obviously this connection to radios. Usually the communication system is over RF from a different watch points, I guess, in your system, if you call them that. But is it correct? It's sort of like two ecosystems of components and software. One of them is kind of Amazon or oriented, and the other one is Apple oriented. Or I guess the Amazon stuff is like probably more friendly to the Google and Android operating systems. The other one is more friendly to iOS. Is that right? Or maybe everything's changed since the last time we were talking about that. Over to you.
Well, Brian, there's a bunch of components in my home automation system. I have a portal component that does integration between the Amazon Echo and my home automation. And my home automation system is dual band, in that it does signaling over the house wiring, as well as 400 megahertz signaling from device to device. So it's a little bit like a mesh network in my home. Works quite well. I've been playing with this stuff for years, and it's just gotten progressively better. I have yet to figure out, and it can be figured out, that if I have an alarm condition, it can in fact turn the light on in the house. But, it's on the to-do list, so to speak. VA3AZA, VA3WM.
VA3WM, VA3AZA, net control returning. Okay, John, very, very interesting. And actually, when you talk about the arrival or establishment of an alarm condition, I was thinking or wondering whether you establish what the alarm condition is. So, like an input on one sensor of something and an input on another sensor of something else, and no input on another. You know what I mean? You set up the combination of inputs that is the signature of an alarm condition. Just curious. That just struck me as you were explaining that. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that on the second go. I'm just going to see if there's anyone else here, and then we'll revisit the call signs on our. But we'll keep you on the list here for a second go. Let's see if IU7GM is still out there. I don't see his name on the list, but IU7GM, if you're there, come on in. Okay, I think I see he has a message in the box there. He's not here. So, all right. Well, let's see who else is out there then. Let's check for some Echolink check-ins. Are there any other Echolink check-ins for the first round of the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club Tuesday Night Net? If you're out there on Echolink only, come now, please.
We're transmitting now. Yep, the Cat Trace JQ. Good afternoon. Yeah, afternoon.
Okay, net control acknowledges VK3HJQ. John, we'll hold on 1 second here. We'll check for some RFs, and then we'll come to you. If there's anyone out there on RF who'd like to come in, I guess we're almost at the end of the first round of the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club Tuesday Night Net. But if you're out there on RF, come now, please, with your call sign spelled phonetically, followed by your first name, RF only.
Alpha 3 Mike Alpha, VA3MA 10. Over.
Okay, Net Control acknowledges an RF contact there, and that was VA3MA, and that's Dan. Dan, good to have you on the net tonight. We're just going to go up to John here, and we'll come back down to you. Let's see, John. Hope all is well with you over in Australia, and tell us what's up on your end of the line here, Net Control to VK3HJQ.
Good afternoon from down under, 1:15 p.m. What are we up to? The 8th of December, so Santa's on the way, Wednesday, 21 degrees C, top today 22, and beautiful sunny day. It looks like, according to the BOM, which is the Bureau of Meteorology, you've got to be careful when you write BOM on the internet, or BOOM. All those search engines stop as soon as you mention the word BOM. Anyway, we have the BOM, the Bureau of Meteorology here in Australia. So Thursday rain, Friday rain, by the looks of it. And then next week's going to be fine until Monday. What to report? Oh, I've been watching a documentary on superbugs. You know, these antibiotic-resistant bugs that are basically going to kill us all. They reckon COVID's going to be a walk in the park compared to these. Which we've been talking about it for 10 or 15 years about superbugs. About how to become resistant to antibiotics, and basically doctors are just handing antibiotics out higgledy-piggledy now, and that's what's causing the problem. So, yeah, interesting times we're in, that's for sure. Anyway, I've got the COVID cases for today. Don't have any, I don't have any report of anything. No Omicron report, no nothing for today. Been busy doing other stuff. Rather than worrying about what's going to knock us all off. Oh, boy. Anyway, at least we have amateur radio, that's the main thing. There's enough social distance in here, Brian, where it's not a problem. Back to net, VK3HJQ. Good afternoon from down under.
VK3HJQ, VA3A today, Net Control returning. Okay, John, yeah, very interesting. As you say, the superbug, the superbug interest in the superbug has been there for a long time, and there's always been some warnings about it. It's funny, too. I mean, I can remember when I was a kid being given like penicillin in a liquid form. There must have been 80% sugar or something to get us to take it, but boy, they used to whip that stuff out. The first sneeze, there was the penicillin that came out, and that continued for a long time. And now, of course, things have changed. So there's a great resistance to using those drugs for that reason, I guess. It encourages the evolution of superbugs. But yeah, that period's kind of passed. But I hope we don't get the superbug, any forms of superbugs. The virus has been bad enough for 2 years. So anyway, should we keep you on the list here for a second? Go over to you.
We're hanging around, Brian. Thanks.
VK3HJQ, VA3A today, Net Control. Okay, John, I'll get you on the list here. And let's go down to Dan. And Dan is local. He's here in Mississauga. And you're getting in there, Dan, no problem, to the repeater. Hope all is well with you. Net Control, over to VA3MA.
Brian, VA3MA. Well, we're in that big metropolis to the east of you, Etobicoke. And thought we'd jump in here. Actually, my 705 here, it was to YYZ D-Star. Somebody's talking about D-Star. Been trying to get understanding of it. And the North Lake D-Star net is on Tuesday nights at the same time as this. And I just happened to have my 705 here tuned to YYZ on 440 there, and I was able to jump into that net and learn a few things more about D-Star. So a little bit of competition there. And talking about the digital stuff, I see Marquez around there. I wonder what's happening with the fusion on the UHF repeater, whether or not that'll happen. I'm kind of curious. And we're kind of excited. My daughter and my two little granddaughters and her husband are coming Thursday from London, England to stay with us until the new year, and we're really looking forward to that, particularly after all the tests they've had to do, and a fright this morning when the British Airways looked like they were going to cancel Thursday's flight, and all the testing you have to do for COVID before that and everything else. But anyways, it's all worked out. Their tests have come back negative, so we're a go, thank goodness, so far. So back to you there, Brian.
Oh, VA3MA, VA3A today, net control returning. Okay, Dan, sounds good. Yeah, it's always nice to have visitors, so I'm sure they'll be excited to make the trip over the ocean and to come and see. It is kind of a complicated matter these days with all of the requirements that have to be dealt with for international travel. But yeah, for the UHF on the RF side, it works as far as I know. So I often call out there. I think I've had a few QSOs with people, I think, on the UHF. So it listens for me in the morning. I didn't make a call this morning, but usually on my way to work, I'll do a call on the UHF side if you want to try it. So it does work. I don't think it's connected to WireSox right now, but you can certainly still use it. And interesting, so you've got yourself a 705, good for you. I was just going to mention, you're using YYZ for your D-Star, that's great. It's I find I'm always I get a good shot of VE3PMO. I don't know if you've tried that one. I forget what the frequency is, 444250, I think. But anyway, sounds good. Very good, and nice to hear you. Let's see. That brings us to the end of our list for the general check-ins. Is there anyone else, either on Echolink or RF, who would like to check in at the end of the first round in the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club 2-meter net? Come now, please, with your call sign spelled phonetically, followed by your first name.
Just a quick one. Luigi's up on ham now. He must have thought he could get away from the net, but we're connected to it as well.
Oh, Roger. Okay, thanks, John. Let's see if Luigi wants to join us here. IU7GM. This is Victor Alpha 3 Alpha Zulu Alpha net control for the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club. Would you like to come in and join us? We'll pass it over to you. IU7GM.
Good morning, my friend. Good morning. My speaking English negative, my friend. Not very, very good. Italy station, Southeast Italy, my friend. My name is Luigi. In the moment in my QRL, my friend. Excuse me, my English not very good. But you, my friend.
IU7GM, this is VA3AZA. Luigi, well, good morning. It must be early for you. Hey, your English is fine, better than my Italian or French. So you're doing a great job, and you're sounding really good. It sounds really good to me. Your audio is very good, and we're glad you dropped by. We've got you here. We've got you logged into our net, and thanks again for coming by. I hope all is well with you. I guess your weather is probably a little different from ours over here. This net runs out of Mississauga, Ontario, Canada, which is near Toronto in Canada, or Buffalo, New York in the United States. We're about an hour or so from Buffalo, so we're seeing a little bit of snow here. I'm not sure I don't know what your altitude is like there over in Italy. Maybe in the mountains or down at the sea level. So maybe you're seeing some of the things that we see. Not sure. Anyway, good to hear from you, and I'll pass it back to you for anything else you want to add, and then we'll see who else is out there. Net control to IU7GM. Come on in. Anything else you want to add?
Okay, my friend. Okay, thank you very much, my friend. Buon QSO, my friend. Thank you very much. 73 from Italy, Southeast Italy, Adriatic coast, my friend. Okay, thank you very much. Bye, 73, my friend. Ciao, grazie.
IU7GM, VA3AZA. Ciao, and buongiorno. That's John giving me some Italian there. That's a good day, I believe. 7-3, and nice to hear you. Nice to hear you, Luigi. Okay, anyone else? Is there anyone else out there who'd like to check in to the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club 2-meter net? Either RF or Echolink. Come now, please, with your call sign, spelled phonetically, followed by your first name. Okay, no other check-ins here at the end of the first round. I guess we'll go up to the top of the list for our 7-3 round. And, in this round, you have an opportunity to comment on anything you've heard, or just give 7-3. It's entirely up to you, kind of open-ended. We'll work our way through the list. You have to forgive me if I've not done a good job recording who would be here and who would not. I know I got some of it right, but some of it I fear I did not. Let's see. So, I think Don, well, I'm going to try him. I can't remember whether he said he'd be here. Let's try VE3DBN. Don, if you're there, if you want to come in for 7-3, over to you.
Well, this is Victor Echo 3 Delta Bravo November, Don in Kleinberg. It's been an interesting night tonight. A lot of very interesting conversation. As to your question, I believe I have a model railroad. I sort of have two hobbies that are a black hole for money. One is a model railroad, and the other is ham radio. And I don't know which is more expensive, but at any rate, there's a lot of fellows in ham radio that actually have model railroads as well. So that's kind of interesting. And it is interesting, and I quite honestly can't recall what the frequencies are, but on these long trains, they use a lot of two-way communication with the controller and within the train. And it's interesting listening to some of those as well. I've been listening to some, and I can't recall the frequencies right now, but that is interesting. At any rate, thank you very much for doing what you do. It's a grind, and I appreciate what you put into it. I think I timed out there. I appreciate what you put into it, and I just wish everybody a Merry Christmas, and just trust that everyone and their families receive health and happiness in the time to come. And I'll turn it back to Net Control.
VE3DBN, VA3AZA, Net Control Returning. Okay, Don, good to hear from you. Very good to hear from you. Yeah, the railway stuff sounds good. I know that's something I remember doing a bit of research on that just to figure out the frequencies. I didn't quite get them sorted out, but that sounds very interesting. And there is there's a connection there. We've heard from many people, I think, over the years who have mentioned that, the use of RF in the management of rail traffic and in like communications on trains and then between in the yard and I guess with their control, whatever the dispatch operation is. So yeah, there's a good connection in there. And I think I've even met a few people. I think the fellow at Radio World, he seemed to have quite a knowledge of how RF was used in rail. One of the fellows at Radio World. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us. Always a pleasure to hear from you. And maybe we'll hear from you next week too. Let's go down to, Gary said he might be there, he might be not. I see him on list, I see him on Echo Lake. I'm going to give him a try. VA3GDZ, Gary, if you're there, come on in for the 7-3 round. Over to you.
Brian, I heard you coming to the end of the list, so I came running back to the radio. I saw some pizza and beer discussion going on the Echo Link chat, and then Luigi came in from Italy, so I thought that was apropos. My goodness, it must be middle of the night for that guy. Interesting. I did want to comment very briefly on some of the ideas people mentioned, like the marine communication. Sure, a lot of radio. I can hear a lot of chatter going on, actually, out on Lake Ontario and down at the harbor. But, of course, you can't transmit on marine band without a marine radio. And automating your house, I think John mentioned that. Yeah, there was a presentation about that. I'm a little bit afraid of it. I'm not sure I want my fridge talking back to me when I'm sneaking out for a midnight snack over to it. Okay, 7-3 to all the guys. Good net there, Brian, and we'll be chatting later. This is Victor Alpha 3, Golf Delta Zulu, Gary in Toronto.
VA3 GDZ, VA3 Net Control returning. Okay, Gary, yeah, it's very, very interesting. Yeah, there's lots of connections, and interesting you bring up the marine traffic, too. Yeah, you'll be in a position to hear that and from off the lake, probably pleasure and commercial, so kind of neat. Good to hear from you. Hope to hear from you next week. Always a pleasure. And let's see who's next on the list here. I think Barry said he wouldn't be here, so we'll go down to Mark. VA3 HES. Pass it over to you, Mark, for any 7.3 comments.
VA3AZA and Group, VA3HES returning. Well, 7.3, Brian, thank you for hosting the net yet again. And I don't know whether to say buonanotte or buongiorno to Luigi. Yeah, it's the middle of the night there, but wonderful to hear a station from Italy checking in. Someone mentioned railway. Well, another thing that's rail-related and uses RF is model trains. I have a box languishing in the attic for about a decade with a whole bunch of HO scale stuff, and some of it, I can't remember the technology they used. They had a name for it, but it was basically RF control of your whole model railroad down to the lights and everything. And never really got into it. And to answer the question about the UHF repeater, like you mentioned, it is functioning, and the new Wires X PC is on the way, and with work stopping in another week, I'll have a couple days to get up to the repeater site before Christmas. 7.3, Brian, and 7.3 to everyone on the net. Catch you next week. Back to you, Brian.
Amateur radio.
VA3 HES, VA3A today. Net control training. I think I may have stepped on someone here. I may have doubled on someone. I'm going to take a quick standby, and if there's someone trying to get in, we'll just see if they're going to come in here. But okay, Mark, we got your last comments there, and let's just see if there's someone else there. Net control returning. Okay, I don't think I heard anyone. Not sure. Well, we'll probably have another chance to take a few check-ins if we had someone there who wanted to get in. But anyway, okay, Mark. Yeah, thanks very much for the information. Yeah, the on the RF side, that it's running quite well, I think. And thank you for that. It's one of those things you have to take advantage of whatever time comes your way to get everything sorted out. It's always sort of a challenge, but it definitely works on RF, so that's good. Let's see, the HO train. It's funny. I remember those when I was a kid too. I think I may have had an HO gauge train, but it was a long time ago. And when you mentioned that, it made me think of a documentary I had seen, which explained how railway signals work, which I found very, very interesting. And it's kind of an important thing too, to get the gates going down at the right time. It basically works by shorting potential between the rails. It's a certain distance out from the gates. So you can imagine when the train approaches, when it gets within about 300 yards or so, or 500 yards or whatever it is, there's a connection made through the axle of the wheel. Linking the two rails, and that closes the circuit, which triggers the gates to close at the crossing, and other things that have to happen. But anyway, so yeah, all the train stuff is really kind of neat. Okay, let's see if Sasha's there. This is Net Control, and we'll pass it over to VE3YSN. Sasha, for any closing remarks, over to you. Okay, nothing heard from VE3YSN. Let's see if Brian's still there. Brian, are you still there? We'll pass it to you. Net control to VE3XBH.
VE3AZA, this is VE3XBH. Well, Brian, good net this evening. I don't really have much more to add. So I'll just say 7-3. Hope everybody stays well and has a good holiday and that sort of thing. I'm sure we'll be talking again, but Stay safe, and thanks again for doing the net, Brian. And Mark, thanks for doing the live stream. So I'll send it back to you, Brian. VA3AZA, VE3XPH.
VE3XPH, VA3AZA, net control returning. Okay, Brian, good to hear from you. And yeah, that's right. We thank Mark for his live streaming of the net as well. That's kind of nice that we have that going along as while we do the check-ins. So we'll probably talk to you next week too, Brian. Good to hear from you. And let's go now to VK2DY, and that's Robert in Australia. And Robert, come on in for any closing comments. Over to you. Net control to VK2DY.
Yes, good afternoon again. This is Robert, VK2DY, still in Kellyville Ridge, still under 20 degrees, so not much to write home about. I don't know if any of your cricket fans in there, but the Ashes are on at the moment, although they're on lunch break, I guess. England elected the bat. They're 59 with 4 outs, so they didn't do very well. The first two batters were out without any runs. And that will be going for the next 5 years. It's up in the Gabba in Brisbane. Anyway, other than that, not really much else to report. I'm going to test out the new Droid Star, see how it sounds. New Droid Star for iOS. I imagine it sounds just as just as bad, just as mechanical as the Droid Star does on before it had the external vocoder, but we shall see. I'm going to play with it a bit now, see what it does, see if it actually transmits on D-Star or not. I'm not sure they allow that yet, but we'll see. I'm going to play with it, as I said. Give me something to do this afternoon. Other than that, 73 all. VK2DY, back to net.
VK2DY, VA3AZA, net control returning. Okay, Robert, yeah, sounds interesting. I don't know as much about that system. I think I know the name, but I don't know. I know very, very little about it. But yeah, interesting. So you got the vocoder is outside. It's sort of an add-on. Quite interesting. See how that works. See how the communications works between the other part of the system and the vocoder. So yeah, there's always something to play with the voice over IP. Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll hope we'll hear you again next week. Let's see. We've got John here next on the list. VA3WM. John, we'll pass it over to you.
VA3AZA from VA3WM. Well, hello again, Brian. And, well, a couple of responses. I think you were asking me about the granularity of control on home automation, and when you have events occurring such as alarms or motion detection or everything. Well, having a fully programmable system, everything can be controlled right down to the sensor level and actions and so on and so forth. Very, very granular. I like to tinker with it. My only problem is the system is very stable. It's kind of like IRLP, right? It's running, and then if it breaks on you, you're wondering, how did I do that? And so there is that side to it as well. And to put Gary at ease, no, there's no home automation on the fridge, nor can I command Alexa to open the front door, because, you know, a bad guy might do that, and I certainly don't want to enable a bad guy to open the door at will. And so anyways, a great net,
And very Merry Christmas to everyone. And I'll say it a few more times anyway. So I plan to be here on the next net, which is next Tuesday. VA3AZA, VA3WM 73, and good evening to all.
VA3WM, VA3AZA, net control, returning. John, good to hear from you. Interesting. What you're revealing there about the home automation system, so there's a high level of granularity, which means I guess you have a fair bit of flexibility in defining all the events that kind of reach the whatever the highest level of the alarm system is. So it sounds very, very interesting. Yeah, for sure. I guess it is. Everything gets a bit like RLP after a while. Once you've got it all organized and working, it's highly reliable, and you forget how you did it. And then if something goes wrong, it takes like hours and hours and hours to get it fixed because you can't remember how you got it to work right. But that's okay. That's half the fun. So good to hear from you, and perhaps we'll be chatting soon. I think we might even have a QSO tomorrow, if I remember correctly. I see that coming up here on my reminders. Yes, QSO with John. So we'll talk to you then too, I guess. And we'll look forward to hearing from the net as well. Okay, let's see. That brings me down to VK3HJQ. John, come on in for any closing comments. We'll pass it to you. VA3A today over to VK3HJQ. Okay, maybe John's aside there. That's fine. I give him a try at the end here. And Robert, I forgot to mention this. I'm very interested in your cricket scores. I haven't seen cricket in a long time, so it's kind of an interesting game. I don't see a lot. I don't see a lot of it here. I know there are clubs here, but I don't see too much. Sometimes I see people play it actually, but it's for like on television and stuff. I don't know how much of it is here locally, but anyway, interesting game. Lots of players all over the place. Let's see. Let's see if Dan's still there. Dan, if you're still there and you want to come in for 7-3, we'll pass it to you. Net control to VA3MA. Okay, nothing heard for VA3MA. And I do see Mr. Reg is there, VK6BQQ. I want to call out to him and see if he wants to join us here. Reg, if you're out there and you want to come in, please do so. Always welcome. It's always good to hear from you. VA3A today over to VK6BQQ. Okay, nothing heard from VK6BQQ. That's okay. And well, I don't think Luigi's there. I think he gave us our 7-3, but so we'll go just to any other closing check-ins. If you're out there and you'd like to check into the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club 2-meter net, we're down at the end of the 7-3 round. If you're out there and you'd like to join us, before we close up, come now, please, to the call sign spelled phonetically, followed by your first name. Okay, nothing heard on that last call. Well, that brings me to the end of the net, and we'll close it up for this evening. I am without the last page of my script, so I'll have to improvise. It was certainly a pleasure to host the net with everyone this evening, and we hope to hear from you again next week. If you're within the radio footprint of the club repeater, the call signs of VE3MIS, give it a shout. See who's around. You never know. Someone might be listening on the other end, and that's on UHF and at VHF. Just a reminder, if you've got a Fusion radio, I try to have my Fusion radio on in the morning when I'm in transit, so I'll be listening for you. Usually between about 8:15 and 8:30 or thereabouts. That's when I'm usually on the road. So I don't know what tomorrow will be like. It'll be a little bit earlier. But give it a try. If you've got a Fusion radio, can't hurt to give it a try. You never know who might be listening. So with that, I think I'll close it up for the evening. And again, thanks everyone for participating. It has been a pleasure as usual. This is Victor Alpha 3 Alpha Zulu Alpha, Brian, closing the net, and the connection is going to hang on probably till about 10 o'clock, but after that it should auto-disconnect, so we'll say 7-3.